Hey, what's up, everyone? So it's been a month, I don't know, a little while since I started these humble crypto raider Discord bots, and this project is sprawled out. So I thought I'd just, give a walkthrough and an update on where it's gotten to, especially as a lot of the parts I didn't understand before, I do understand now. So the functionality that we've expanded out into, first of all, we have a bunch of countdown bots. So one of them is counting down to a weekly reset, which is something that happens in the game where you're able to go and do more runs. There's a bot that actually counts down to the next event. Typically, those are tournaments. There are 4 bots that are now monitoring different asset prices. And finally, oh no, that's it for now, actually. And on a future project, maybe I'll make a video about it, I'm working on a kind of new person onboarding bot that'll be able to answer questions a little bit conversationally, basically like a fact bot. But okay, let's jump in. So I'm just going to kind of walk through this in order. So basically, when we start, we go and we call bots online. And if we jump into there, then what happens? So I've actually finally figured out how to loop through all the bots rather than writing the code out 5 times. And so basically this is keeping the bots showing as online. And this is really important because the bots will update, but if they're offline, they drop to the bottom of the member list and they're just not really that visible. So we've gone and actually defined a bot class so that we can give the bots a bunch of properties and just make life a little bit easier. So first of all, we're using async IO. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. This is the part that I don't actually fully completely understand, but I basically do know that this is, what do I know about this? Let's find out as I go through. I'm going to skip this for now. So we're just here declaring a empty list. Or an empty JSON object. And then I go and define the bot class. So basically this is the constructor. We have the name. We have basically declaring the bot as a Discord client using the Discord library up here. Then what we're doing is getting the token. So I've gone and created a bunch of environmental variables and they all share the names of the bot just to make life easy. So bot.token is going to give me that token. We're using os.environ.get to retrieve it using os up here. And so then when we want to actually put the bot online, self.online is a method that is using the loop.createTask. So basically this is what is keeping the bot online. I just forget the kind of technical parts of it to describe it better. And self.botClient.start. So we're starting the bot client using self.token. And then this is just so that I can know in other parts of the script, is this a token bot? Like, is it just tracking the price of an asset, or is this a different type of bot? And I need to know that because I update all the token bots. And then I just initialize self.price for the token bots so that I have that later. And then we just print the name of the bot so I can see that they have initialized. Here, let me just do like a quick run through and maybe we can even see that pop up over here. Now, one of the things that I've done, just because this console is a little bit messy with all the outputs and a lot of people might say, just print less, which is one option, but I've just added right here, new line, and then these 3 chevrons, just so that I can see when it's something I'm printing explicitly, and that became a huge help. So here, let's just go to the top and then we should see, so name, no. We'll just clear everything out, stop, start, and when bots online runs, what we're gonna see, there we go, new bot, new bot, new bot, new bot. So you can see all the ones that I am initializing here. In fact, there seems to be one missing that I would expect. Oh no, there it is down here, I have new bot. So because I didn't actually put a line skip \n over here at the end of the line, what's happening is, this guy is just kind of getting lost with that next piece of text. That may not really matter to a lot of you, but I have, my brain really looks for structure before it looks for words. So that helps me quite a bit. Okay, so moving on, here we go. We have our bot list and we're creating the key value pairing. So the name is RaiderBot and then the bot is RaiderBot. And what we're initializing when we call this is, we're giving it the name right over here, and then is token true or false? So that's where I'm setting this. And then for each key in bot list, so for each one of these, we are putting that bot online. We're calling this .online loop, and then loop forever. So this, I believe, is what's keeping it online. Again, this is at the edge of my current knowledge, and I think that's all right to admit. Ultimately, I hope this is still a really useful thing. So that is just the keeping bots online. What I'll do probably is split this into separate videos, but maybe at first I'll throw it all in one big chunk. So I guess quick reminder, like and subscribe, and now we'll continue. Okay, so if we check back here, so bots online has run, and then we start Flask. So we're calling, where is it? From endpoints, home, start Flask. Flask, to my knowledge, is a web server. And so if we look at my endpoints file here, then what we have is, so an instance of Flask being declared and run. And then we also have here the def home. And so home is, if we look at app route, this is if someone were to ping or just go to this address right here, what it does is it runs this function. So it's basically an API call to my web server. It is also pinged every minute by cronjob.org, which is basically the way that I'm getting this to run updates every minute. And that's a really important part. Another thing I've done, and I mentioned this in past videos, is I used Uptime Robot just as a backup, because these will shut off if they fail too many times. And so I just have two of them running right now, basically as a watchdog. So let's take a look at what happens when this home is being run, because that's basically what happens next in our main.py once we've started Flask. And then after this, I am calling loop forever, but I think this is actually covered in that other page, so I'll experiment with it. So what's happening when we call home? Because there's still a whole lot of stuff here going on that we haven't talked about. All right, let's have a look. So we go into endpoints, and we'll see that we're calling get token values. So that's how we update all the token bots. Reset timer updates, so that's how we update the reset timer bot, and then tournament timer update. So let's go in order again. If we take a look at get token values, there's a few things going on here. So first is, I have this function which, because some of the tokens, basically there is Raider, there's Aurum, there's Grimweed, and there's Eye of Newt. So these two are the key tokens, and then these are items, and we want to express those item prices in Aurum. So I just do a quick division up here with float in place just to adjust the variable types that I am using. We'll call that later on, but it is straightforward enough, I hope. So then we go down to the actual get token values. And here, so we are basically going to call nomics. So we've set up our request here using the requests package. And as we go through, so we've set up our call, and what I'm asking for is, using my auth token here and my list of IDs, which is my token list. It is actually an appended version of my token list, but it more or less looks like this. So we're getting all of those prices. Then what we do, and I know there's a better way to do this, I haven't done it yet. This is just error handling, so it doesn't shut down, because often enough nomics give me a rate limit response, even though I'm nowhere near the rate limit. I've been meaning to figure that out. We come down here, and this is just figuring out, so we iterate through each of the tokens. And okay, if this is Aurum, then we assign a valuable, and basically I'm grabbing that price as AP. If it's Raider, then I grab that price as RP, and so on. And we continue down. And once the number of iterations has gone to longer than the list of tokens, then we know we're done. And so we exit the loop and continue. Here, I could almost certainly loop through this, but we are just basically, or maybe not, it'd get a little complicated, but basically we're setting the formatting here. So Aurum, because Aurum is like a fraction of a cent, we are using 4 decimal places, but for the other ones, we are using 2. Now, before I get to Grimweed and Newt price, I have to just call that price in Orem and pass it the two prices so that I can do the conversion for Grimweed and for Newt price. And I carry on with all four of my variables. But, I think at this point, we'd probably agree that I could be using my dot price property, I don't know if you'd call it that. And I haven't done that yet. There's actually, I've been meaning to clean up the whole bottom of this and turn it into some loops. So another thing I added was a live mode and a test mode. Now I'm sure there's a better way to do this, but it was just getting tedious. So if it's live only, we don't update the test server. So if it's live only, I would skip this. If not live only, we update the test server. If it's not on test mode, then I'll update the regular server. So those are two settings I've given myself to toggle. And that just allows me to control, easily switch into test mode and not do live testing, which I've done a good amount of, and, just break stuff while people are using it. So it's ideal to avoid. And so we go through each server and each token. Again, these can totally be loops, just haven't done it yet, but you can see I started. And so what we're doing is we're calling this bot name update. We're passing the token, well, the new name actually. So Raider $ Raider price, and that's how it will show up in the server in the member list. Then I'm passing the, I believe, token name, Raider bot, and then the server to update. So what happens when we do this? If we head over to bot name update, which is under update bot name, and I think I probably could have just named those the same. That would make life easier. I've also had it pointed out that camel case is a JavaScript thing, and I probably want to stick to one format or the other, and that's probably true. All right, so we call bot name update. So we pass new name, token name, server, and again, we're just doing this request, which is the request that I've structured for these Discord bots. So we're pulling in the token name. I think I could actually update this now to refer to the class rather than calling the token name again here. So that's an iteration I'll go through. And yeah, that's basically it. We print the response and we're done. Whew. Okay, so that's the get the token price. This is basically the section that tells us how to make bots that are tracking token values, essentially a stock ticker or token ticker bot. All right, I'll probably split this into another video, but at first I'm probably just gonna keep going and be a little lazy about it. So I'll pause here to say, like, subscribe, have a look. And if this is broken into a next video, click the link below to continue to the next video. Thanks for watching. If this is the same video, we're going to continue now. All right. Whew. Let's take a look at our endpoints. What's next? So after we call get token values, then we call reset timer update. Now I'll pause here, and I've debated doing this asynchronously so that we make sure one runs at a time. I don't even know if that matters very much. I haven't run into trouble with it yet. All righty, let's just adjust here because Zoom does a horrible job with this backlighting, and it's weird because every other app does it better. But that's too bright behind me. Zoom puts me in the witness protection, shaded. Anyways, let's move on. Okay, we have reset timer update. That is the next thing. So let's take a look at how that happens. And this does all sorts of fun date math, which is, always the greatest, most fun thing to do. So I tried to make this easy. We used a couple of libraries, PyTZ for time zone, date parser, which is a pretty nifty time zone. No, it's a pretty nifty date time handling library. So we'll see how it's used. But first of all, we're declaring CST because that's the time zone that I need to use for this. We're saying now is the date time in CST, now. So we get that value, print it out just to make sure. And at this point, I really don't need to print these things, so I could clean up that output. If we take a look, now we're calculating next reset. So we use date parser.parse, and it's just parsing the words midnight CST with these settings into an actual date time. So it's really nifty. We can use date parser.parse as a way to also accept human input in a way that might be a little sloppy or plain language compared to what a computer wants. So this is a really useful library. We figure out the time delta between our days Oh, sorry. What are we doing here? We're doing a few things in this one line. Okay, so we are calculating next reset, and it is equal to this value up here minus the time delta, where days equals next reset dot weekday minus 2. I don't even understand this looking at it anymore. Let's try again. This next line is to adjust the weekday to Wednesday. Okay, so basically what this line is accomplishing, we are doing, oh yeah, right. Okay, so the way time delta works is it asks you for a value of days to adjust. And what I'm doing is next reset dot weekday minus 2. And so basically what this means is if, yeah, because we're getting this next reset from date parser, whatever. Why did I need this? It was really important too. This is adjusting the weekday to make sure that it's actually targeting Wednesday. I know I was having some issues here, and I just can't remember exactly why I put this in. I know it's important. So one of you will probably figure it out and explain it to me in the comments, or I'll figure it out and explain it to you in the comments, but I'll move on for now. All right. So here, next reset. What we're doing here is because we could get a weekday that is like negative, right? If let's say, yeah, we're saying if next reset minus now. So if next reset is on Wednesday and now is Thursday, then I'm going to get a -1, and I don't want that. If I have -1, what I really want is 6, because there's 6 days till the next thing. And so that's what we're doing here. If we go under 0, add 7 days. Exhausting, right? So then we do time left and past is equal to find time difference. And we call that guy all the way up here. No, where do we call that? Time left and past. These variables are equal to find time diff. It is in a different, what do we call it? It's in a different file. Okay, so if we take a look, I have asked for find time diff. We're calling that from date functions because I separated these. And the reason is I have the tournament bot using these functions as well. And so what we do is we call find time difference, and it subtracts time 2 from time 1. So I've passed those to it, and we return time difference, and we return past, and we return past if past is true. And I think I don't need that anymore. I think what I was doing with that, and that's interesting, I can clean it up. No wonder it was a bit confusing. It's just not being used anymore. No, it's not. But I was using that as a way to say, do I need to do this? So actually, I can rewrite that in the future and just kind of prune it down. Okay. So time left is equal to make timer string, time left. So we have a function to make the timer string, and that is also on this date functions page. Oh my, this video is going on for quite a while. I hope you're still engaged. So we call make timer string, and this is just, breaking the time. So days plus d, time diff dot seconds divided by 360. That's how we're getting hours. By the way, this is I forget the name of this, but this is a type of divide that will, I believe it rounds down, and it does not give you the remainder. So that's really useful here. And then we're getting the seconds as the modulus of that same thing. So basically we're getting that remainder as seconds, as minutes. Whoa, not the best explanation. Let's do a take 2. When we go through this, we are first getting the string. We're making a string of time diff.days, and we're putting a d at the end so that it's nice and human readable. And then we are getting time diff.seconds, but divided by 360. So we're actually getting the minutes, hours. We're actually getting the hours, putting this h here. And then we do the same thing, but we get the modulo of that. And so now we're getting seconds. This double divides is essentially going to give you the value without the remainder. Okay, so we pass that back, and then once again, at that point, we just call our bot update function. Whew, yeah, and again, we can loop through this, so, improvements I can make in the future. All right, there's one more thing in the endpoints. One more, we're almost there. And what that thing is tournament timer update. So how do we do that? Now I will pause here again because I'm probably going to break this into multiple videos, or someone else might. But if I haven't yet, it's worth saying like and subscribe if you like this. Yes. And if we're in the same video, then, well, I hope you're enjoying. Let's keep going. All righty. So now we're into the tournament timer update, right? Let's see how this works. So we call this and we pass the server. So I've done each of these just slightly differently, and it would be good to merge them together. As you can see, it's a bit of a sprawling thing, but that is what happens. So we're getting events. We're calling this URL from Discord. We are getting events from that particular guild, which is the server. Oh, and we're calling get server ID. So how do I know what this server means, right? What is it? So we're passing that here. And when I do get server ID, I just have a list of my server IDs here that I can call and just return this. And for my test mode, basically, if it's test mode, we always return the test mode server ID. And we also default to it. Now, I was wondering if there was like a nicer way to write this without writing the test server ID twice, but so if one of you knows, let me know. And if not, it works. So once we get that, we go and we call for the next events, and I only want the next one. That's all I want. So we return this response. In fact, though, let's see what I started at the top of this file because my kind of like still noobish brain reads things from top to bottom, but that's not where I started. I called tournament timer update. So let's look at what that is. Tournament timer update is this bottom function, right? And so what we do is, again, we pass the server, we events, get events underscore server. So what does that mean? Well, get events. Oh yeah, that's this one. So once we've got the events, we return our response, and that is events. So then our next start, which we're trying to find, we're going to pass the events response into get next events start. What does that guy do? What it does is it tries to sort through all of the JSON, basically sort through the JSON object that I've gotten and sort it by the value scheduled start time. And so once we do that, then we just parse and we get the first value for scheduled start time. That's when the next start is, and we return it. So now we've gotten our events, we've trimmed it down to the next start time, which is the only thing I needed. And now we need to know what the name of the bot is. So the new bot name is going to pass next start to the turning timer diff function right above. We're almost there. So we get our time zone. Oh yeah, and the reason we use UTC is because that's what gets returned to us by Discord. It's not about the time zone of the user, it's about the time zone of Discord. So we, again, get now, and then we're going to call, I'm still doing this past thing here, which I'm pretty sure I still don't need. Oh, okay, here's where I'm using it. There you go. So we can see the dangers sometimes of branching off. If I had started just like deleting that other function, then I would have really broken stuff. But here's another opportunity to make everything work kind of similarly. So if we keep going, we have turning timer diff and past, and we are doing find time diff. And so when we call find time diff on that other page I've shown you in our date functions, we're passing now and next start, and we're finding out if the time diff is in the past or not. We've seen this function in either earlier this video or in a previous video, depending on the editing. And so we get these two values. Now, what we're going to say is we're going to make the timer string. So maybe I'm just, we're making the timer string. So we do, and we call that. And if we're in the past, then my turning time difference is equal to, this is weird, this is an F string, right? So we have a variable here. So it's equal to, oh, okay, I understand. This is basically equal to negative turning time difference. What I'm doing is if we get a negative value, I'm flipping it into a positive value, just because that was a bug that I was starting to hit. And for whatever reason, it didn't like the way I was giving it just as a variable. So then I wrapped it in these basically as an F string, so it's still giving the variable. but just basically, I suppose, transforming it to a string if I understand well. And so with all of this, we return tourney time diff. And that's our new bot name. So then we loop through our server list. So I actually got this loop working here, but when I tried to put it in the other page, it didn't quite work out. So, and that's where I just kind of gave up on that thread for now. Now for X in server list, we're going to just go through if X, if the thing in server list equals test and we're on live only, we're just going to continue. We're not going to do anything. We're going to continue to our next iteration of X in server list. If X is not a test server and we're on test mode, then again, we're just going to skip this iteration. We're not going to do anything. And finally, if none of those are the case, then we're just going to continue and we're going to pass our bot name update. So there it is, this long, big thing, I guess, end-to-end walkthrough. It's certainly the most code I've written, but I know for you people out there who've done this a little bit more, it's not even that big of an app. So here it is. I hope this is helpful, and I hope some of the ideas in the structure are useful to you. Learn in public is something I encourage, so I'm not afraid to get up here and tell you what I do and don't know. I'd love to hear ideas on how this could be made better. I'd love questions if you have any. And yeah, I just really hope this video is useful to some of you learning. I will also share the link to this code in the comments or in the description, so that'll be there. So again, for I guess the last time in this series of videos, give a like, give a subscribe if this was helpful, drop a comment, and you know, we run on props. So if you're enjoying this, I say we run on props, but it's a statement of agility. If this is valuable and you're enjoying this, let us know, we'll do more. If it's not, we'll do something else. And so thanks for being here. This has been hopefully as much fun for you as for me.